Sam Barber, you took Carson and Carter to the NCAA Championships, and what a ride! Talk to me about that. You got to be proud of both of those guys.
Yeah, just amazing, both those guys. I think with our program, though, it's like how we got there, a big part of that is always started with gratitude. So just a quick shout out to our staff, our coaching staff, Coach Johnston, Coach Hallman, and Coach Elroy. Consummate professionals, just did an outstanding job. Can't say enough about those guys. They're such a huge part of, all the success we have in the program, past, present, and future as well. So best coaching staff in the country, my biased opinion, But I think we also have this, these thankless jobs behind the scenes, this crew of people that just don't get recognized. Want to, try and go through that, and hopefully I don't forget anybody. But, Kelby Bachman, our new director of operations, he's been really impactful to our program. Been awesome to have him with us. He was at the NCAA tournament, big part of our team. Matt Johnson, our trainer, just does a fantastic job, and, has become an integral part of our team. Buck Blackwood, our strength and conditioning coach, bought in, one of the best strength and conditioning coaches in the country. And then, the continued support staff that we have there, Marcus Rodriguez, and our sports information director. He's part of our team, and, believes in the one team, one fight mentality. Dr. Small, our nutritionist, Shelly Morales, who was kind of the most impactful with us before she departed and left for the OTC. And then we got some people outside that help us too. Phil Cornerchuck in Stonewater Training does some work with our team, just does a fantastic job. We have the team behind the team and our Air Force Regional Training Center board of directors that just is so impactful and allows us to have a margin of excellence to continue to support our guys. We have our RTC staff and Burke Paddock and Coach Mo that they just do a fantastic job. And I think I've gotten about everybody in there. But again, it just shows you like the village it takes, and it takes everybody, all hands on, all season long. This result this weekend didn't happen overnight. Yeah. It was a culmination of a season's worth of hard work from a lot of people, and then not to leave out our leadership. We just got outstanding leadership here in the athletic department, from Mr. Pine, Miss Block to Colonel Huseman, and then our sports administrator, George Nelson too. So we just have an amazing, fantastic team, and we're just really, really grateful for those folks.
Yeah. And like you said, some great things happened, but maybe overlooked was Carson. Let's talk about him first.
Yeah. Carson, again, like making the national tournament as a freshman is a big deal, and I think it's it was really great to see him get there. You could definitely see when he got there, he's like, this thing is awesome. You could see the awe in it, and I think, but he responded really well. Had a setback in the first match, lost that one, but he came back on the backside and wrestled a really great match against a really tough kid from Chattanooga and got his first win in the national tournament. Getting to the national tournament, hard to do. Getting wins at the national tournament, another level, right? And so he just did a fantastic job, and he's got. I know he's invested. And he wants to grow and get better, so he's going to continue to do the right things to get back there and just keep climbing until he's standing on that podium. So I can't say enough great about Carson and the season he had, and we're really excited about his bright future.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Carter, really, again, you go in, you lose that first match, you've got a choice to make, and he made a choice to really fight back.
Yeah, it's really hard. Again, it's like you go in there and he wrestled a great match. He wrestled a great match. The first one, it just didn't go his way. And then how do you respond from that, right? Are you just like, oh, I'm happy to be here. I was the 18th seed, he's the 15th seed. Am I just supposed to, do what the seeds say I'm supposed to do, or do you show up and you fight back? And then so he draws a very close friend of his on the backside, a guy that he's never beaten in folk style from Northwestern. Goes out there, dominate, pins that guy. Again, wins are one thing, getting pins in the national tournament, huge for him, huge for our team score as well. Has a really tough opponent from Bucknell, really hard guy, or Navy next. Those inter-service matches are always tight, they're always close. And he just wrestles a great match. Really courageous. Has a beautiful throw. I think a lot of people have seen that. But just the courage it takes and the freedom to be able to go out there and just have confidence in your ability and put your best wrestle on the line and wrestle that type of match. Again, that was kind of like a glimpse into where he was at mindset-wise and then what was going to happen in the rest of the tournament. Wins the Navy match, wrestles a really tough Bucknell kid that's really, really hard to wrestle, has some tricky stuff you got to deal with, and he wrestles and executes a perfect game plan and a great match and goes out there and beats him. And now he's got the number 6 seed, Vincent Cornella, also a Colorado kid, to become an All-American. And again, goes out, gets a great turn. Again, it's hard to turn guys in the national tournament. Didn't catch him, turned him, and ends up pinning him to become an All-American. The first All-American we've had as a sophomore since the Donaldsons in 1971 and then Terry Isaacson in 1962. So huge deal for that. A lot of times guys become All-Americans and then, kind of like sometimes they let up a little bit, but not Carter. And then he draws the Lock Haven athlete who knocked the Iowa guy out of the tournament. And he ends up wrestling another great match, beats him, gets himself a chance to go all the way for third place. Wrestles Luke Stanish from Lehigh, who's a real elite athlete, really tough competitor. Wrestles a great match, comes up a little bit short, and then almost has another chance to re-wrestle the match that he had in the first round of Big 12s and Shemita from Iowa State, who injury defaulted to him. So 8 matches total with injury default, which is like if anybody's ever done that, you have no idea what that makes your body feel like. And to be able to go out there one after another, especially on the backside where it's like you have to win or your season's done, to continue to put those on the line is huge. I think he's one of 5 athletes that lost in the first round and came all the way back to be in an NCAA tournament. He was there was one other athlete that kind of wrestled higher than his seed to come all the way back. Outside of that, him being the 18th seed coming all the way back and getting 5th place was just fantastic. So hats off to Carter. Grateful for him. The credit belongs to Carter. He's the one out and wrestled the matches. He's the one has the belief in himself and our program and just did an outstanding job. And we're gonna be telling that story of Carter Nagel for a long time in his journey at the national tournament. So congratulations to him, and we're grateful for him.
Yeah, and what may be most exciting is Carson Carter nowhere near done for Air Force Wrestling now. Air Force Wrestling, 3 All-Americans the last 4 years. You're continuing this climb, and I think what is seeing a guy from your team do what Carter did at the national tournament do for the rest of your team?
Yeah, I think, we talk about our program, it was based off from recruiting, retention, and development, right? That's our formula, is that we go out and we find the right kids for our program, not always the best kids, the right kids, right? And I think that's a key point. Like, yeah, we could go probably get some more talented guys, but maybe they're not going to be the right guy for our program and how we do things and what we do at this institution, that be a mission first and value based and pursuing championships results. Right. You got to be a great fit. So it starts in the recruiting process. And in that recruiting process, we're already thinking about retention, because we got to keep them here, so that they continue to do things right. We can't develop them if they don't stay, and they got to be the right guys. So we really start in the recruiting process, and it was clear, Carter, Carson, those guys were the right type of young men, and along with all the guys we have on our team right now are the right guys, right? And now we provide a world-class experience here. The cadet athlete experience is like we're working really hard at making sure these guys are having a fantastic experience here at the Air Force Academy, that they're getting a world-class education. They're getting to become better versions of themselves as future leaders, growing them and all the different attributes that are going to apply to them later in life, and then also making sure that wrestling's an amazing part of their day, and that they have a band of birds and a brotherhood that they can be part of, and then when they graduate, obviously the great things they're going to go out and do for our nation, the profession of arms and service, all that stuff comes together, and kind of that drives our program, recruitment, retention, development, being a mission-first program that's values-based, that wants to produce championship results. So got a team of those guys right now, and I think, with Carter becoming our 3rd All-American in 4 years, and now we've been a top 25 team 4 years in a row. Like, now we've kind of proven that the system works. And I think that was the story of this year, is that obviously it didn't come together till the last 2 weeks of the year with Big 12s and the NCAAs, but being focused on the process and not taking our foot and our focus off the process, and not riding the roller coaster of what was going on with the results, and just saying, hey, we're process oriented but results driven, and we're going to stick to the process of and our values, and be a mission first. And that allowed us, I think, for Carter and Carson and the other athletes in our program to put their best wrestling on the mat at the Big 12s and the NCAA tournament. So it's huge for us, and I think for what it says is hey, we have a system and we have a process and we have a culture that we can replicate this, and it's not not going to be based on, circumstances or talent. It's going to be based on us showing up and doing the things we got to do every day the way we do them. If we do that, we're going to have continued success for the long run. So we have great young men that are going to be part of our program that we've recruited. But we're really excited about that. We know they're the right people, and we're going to continue this. And we're talking to the right guys as well, is that, we're going to continue to do this. This is not going to be, we're here to stay. Air Force Wrestling's here to stay. We're going to continue to perform at this level because it's based on a system. It's based on being mission first, values based in a championship program. And with that, one final shout out is just to our fans. They keep showing up too. We had over 150, 200 people there. An amazing social that was put on by the Air Force RTC. And every time, Carson goes out there, they got a couple hundred people behind them, a few thousand probably at home. But hearing that Air Force fight song every time we go out there, we compete, sure helps. And it says a lot about, again, we have built a program here. We're not just a team that's producing results, but it's a program that's built on a system. That's something that we've got the right people in place doing the right things that we're going to be able to replicate for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Air Force Wrestling marches on next season. Sam, congratulations again, and we'll see you next time.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks.